came here, the great Tony Paris, with $50 in his pocket. He decided that he would use his skills as a sheet metal worker to go out and, on his own and start a business. And here we are a half-century later. His brilliant son, Angelo, and now his kids are working here as well. How old is this little guy here? It's Marco, and Marco's then going to be taking over as CEO next year. So, his daughter Sophia. This is good. What an incredible multi-generational family story of entrepreneurship. This is the Canadian promise right here. Let's give them a big round of applause. They were just telling me about their incredible products, the heating and cooling systems they use. They even let me put in some of the parts a moment ago. The insulation, I put the insulation, and then after the fact, thought maybe I should ask if this is fiberglass. So I'll be scratching myself for the rest of the day. Turns out their insulation is made out of recycled jeans. So I've committed that in 10 years, when I beat these things up, I'm going to send them in and you can use them for insulation. But what an incredible group of sheet workers, and your local union is doing a great job of fighting for your wages. But I understand that this is a company that works very closely, hand in hand, with its union partners to get great wages, a safe workplace, and get things done. That is the Canadian way. But before I go any further, I'm once again, like all Canadian leaders, forced to address yet another attack by President Trump against our economy. Here he goes again, attacking his closest neighbor and America's best friend, with new tariffs that will drive up the cost of living for American consumers and drive down American wages, while damaging a historic friendship, the best trading relationship in the world. My message to President Trump is knock it off. Stop attacking America's friends. Start trading so that we can once again become richer, stronger, and more secure on both sides of the border. That is how we will have the money for stronger military and stronger borders to secure our continent against real threats and real enemies. We will never be the 51st state, but we can once again be friends with the United States if the President reverses course on these disastrous tariff threats. But I have a further message for President Trump. If you decide to go down this road, this is what's going to happen. Yes, you'll do damage to us in the short term, but we will fight back and we will build back. Within 4 years of a new, strong Conservative government, Canada will be completely rebuilt. We will rebuild our economy. We will not be reliant on the U.S. anymore, and the Americans will have lost the greatest trading partner and friend they ever had. A Conservative government will build pipelines and LNG plants, aggressively promote mines and other resource infrastructure that has been blocked for the last 10 years. We'll have new overseas trading partners. We will knock down interprovincial barriers so that we can trade with ourselves. We will send our goods to our friends on other sides of the oceans of the world. We will cut taxes and speed up permits so that we can sell our oil, gas, mining, lumber, agriculture, fisheries, manufacturing, small businesses and large businesses alike. The world needs our resources and our expertise. If you, Mr. Trump, don't want them, the rest of the world does. Under a new Conservative government, we will put Canada first for a change. We will be a nation that is strong, self-reliant, standing on its own 2 feet, so that we can stand up for ourselves and stand up to the Americans. America, Mr. Trump, will be isolated and alone, which brings me to the reason why I am here today. It's great to be back here in beautiful British Columbia. I'd like to thank, as I said, Apollo Sheet Metal for having built this incredible business and hosting me here today. We want to bring home the Canadian promise that allowed Angelo's family to build this incredible business from scratch. Canada needs more of this, and we will have more of it. We need a Canada First plan to bring home our investment. And that's why the choice in this election is so important. After the lost Liberal decade of costs and crime up and our economy down under America's thumb, the question is, can we afford a fourth Liberal mandate in power? Or is it time for a new Conservative government that will put Canada first for a change by axing taxes, greenlighting resource projects, bringing home our investment and jobs so that we're strong enough to stand up for ourselves against the American threats and in favor of ourselves? But unfortunately, we've been weakened as the tax system now rewards corporate insiders that move their money out of Canada to avoid paying Canadian tax, at the same time as it punishes patriotic Canadians who invest in our country. You can probably guess who I'm talking about here. This week we learned that while hard-working Canadians were paying more Liberal taxes, Mark Carney moved his corporate assets to Bermuda, a tax haven, to avoid paying his fair share. At the very time he was advising Justin Trudeau in favor of higher taxes here, he was busy shielding Brookfield assets in Bermuda, dodging the same high taxes Liberals make Canadians pay. Carney claims that it's just because he knows how the world works. Well, what he knows is how to work the world's system against our people here in Canada. To Carney, taxes are something that the little people have to worry about, while globalist elites like him can always escape the bill. He says he has his income in a certain blind trust, but it's not blind to him. He knows exactly what's in it. It's just blind to everyone else. After he cheated the tax system to avoid paying his fair share, he now wants Canadians to blindly trust him. Yesterday, the media asked me if I would act, put my words where my actions in the same direction, and release all of my investments. And I'm happy to report that I've done that. Every journalist who's asked has gotten the list of all the things I invest in. And as I said, I invest in Canada. I invest in Canadian companies, Canadian stocks. I brought my investments home after President Trump began threatening our country. And we need to see if Prime Minister Carney is willing to do the same thing. He needs to come clean about his offshore dealings. And we need a government that will stand up for Canadian taxpayers, Canadian workers, and the Canadian economy. It's time to put Canada first for a change. Instead of rewarding elites who take jobs abroad, we need to reward patriotic Canadians who bring their investment home. And that's why I'm rolling out today a part of my big Bring It Home tax cut. As Prime Minister, I will bring home the Canada First TFSA top-up. Here's how it works. You know, the previous Conservative government created the tax-free savings accounts that allow you to put aside up to $7,000 every single year. And then your growth is all tax-free. That won't change. What will change is that under my government, you will be allowed to contribute another $5,000 every single year, as long as that money is invested in Canadian companies. So this will bring billions of dollars of investment into Canadian companies who will then spend it on factories, equipment, tools, wages, and making our economy self-reliant and strong. Our economy has been starved of investment. In fact, Canadian workers get only 55 cents of investment for every dollar an American worker gets. The investment per worker in America is 28,000 American dollars. In Canada, it's about 15,000 American dollars. So the American worker has been getting more tools and more technology, and that's why our wages have been falling behind. We need to encourage investment in this country by changing the rules to make them fair, and not for the wealthy, not for the elites, but for the retail working class investors. This will bring money rushing back into Canadian businesses who will hire more people and pay more taxes in Canada. This is, we have, for example, Sean, who's behind me somewhere. I don't know where Sean went. Sean was here. There's Sean. Sean was telling me he's in real estate, and he'd love to be able to set aside more money. Perhaps, I don't know his exact situation, but perhaps he sells a rental property and wants to put the proceeds aside, and he wants to make sure that those investments go into Canada. This would give him the ability to put that in a Canada First tax-free savings account that would boost investment in Canada while boosting the retirement that he has so richly earned. He told me that this would allow him to save for retirement more easily, while at the same time allowing us to put Canada first with his investment decisions. Mr. Carney sends jobs south, I'll bring them home. And unlike the Carney Liberals, we will put Canada first. After a lost Liberal decade, with costs and crime up and our economy down under the American thumb, Canada cannot afford a fourth Liberal term. Under a weak and out-of-touch leader like Mark Carney, we need a strong new Conservative government that will put Canada first for a change, boost Canadian investment, unleash Canadian resources, create Canadian jobs, and make us self-reliant and sovereign. As Prime Minister, most of all, I will restore the great Canadian promise that anyone from anywhere can achieve anything, where hard work gets you a great life on a safe street, protected by brave troops under a proud flag. Canada first. Let's bring it home. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. We will now go to questions. Please say your name and outlet.
Good afternoon, Mr. Poilievre. JP Tasker from CBC News.
Yes.
Nice to see you. Your party had a 25-point lead in the polls in early January, and now every major pollster in the country says that you are trailing Mark Carney and the Liberals. What went wrong? What did you do wrong?
We'll wait for Canadians to make the choice on Election Day. And that choice will be this. After the lost Liberal decade of rising costs and crime, and the economy down under America's thumb, do the Liberals deserve a fourth term in power? Or is it time to put Canada first for a change? With a new Conservative government, they will axe taxes, build homes, unleash resources, and bring home the jobs the Liberals have pushed abroad so that we can stand strong on our own 2 feet against the American threat. That is the choice that Canadians will have to make in the final analysis. Remember, the Liberals have the same ministers, the same MPs, the same strategists, and they're repeating the same promises that they've been making and breaking for 10 long years. We know the result. Here in BC, for example, Vancouver is the most expensive housing market in the entire world. In the entire of North America, it's the third most expensive in the entire world. It now takes 100%, almost 100% of pre-tax income for the average Vancouver home buyer to make monthly payments on the average home. That's mathematically impossible. And as Mr. Carney admitted, that was the case before President Trump ever brought in his tariffs. By electing the same Liberals who have weakened our economy and driven up costs and crime, those problems will only get worse. By contrast, we're presenting a real Canada First plan to turn things around. In addition to the Canada First TFSA top-up, we're going to take GST off new homes so that you can save up to $65,000 on the purchase of a new house. We'll incentivize municipalities to free up permits, speed up approvals, and cut taxes on buildings so we can add more homes. We're going to lock up the violent criminals with tough new laws that will make British Columbians safe again. And we're going to put our country first by approving the resource projects Liberals have held back for the last 10 years of the lost decade. That is the choice that Canadians will face, and I have full confidence that they will make the right one. Thank you.
En français, s'il vous plaît.
Merci beaucoup. Oui, merci beaucoup de votre question. Après la décennie perdue des libéraux, le choix est le suivant. Est-ce qu'on devrait donner aux libéraux un 4e mandat après qu'ils ont augmenté le coût de la vie et la criminalité et affaibli notre économie? Ou est-ce qu'il faut mettre le Canada d'abord pour une fois, pour faire changement, avec un nouveau gouvernement qui va couper les taxes et impôts, bâtir des logements, donner le feu vert au projet pour bâtir et devenir plus fort face aux Américains? C'est ça le choix que nous allons prendre dans les élections et j'ai pleine confiance aux Canadiens de prendre le bon choix. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. And I want to invite, before I take the next question, I want to invite our candidates up here today. We've got Mark Dalton. Why don't you just say a quick hello, introduce yourself very quickly. I'll take some more questions. Go ahead, Mark.
It's great to be here with Pierre. I'm Mark Dalton, Member of Parliament for Pitt Meadows, Maple Ridge.
Great member. Go ahead.
Morning, everybody. My name is Ian Black. I'm proudly the candidate for Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam.
I'm Paul Lambert. I'm the candidate for the Port Moody-Coquitlam riding, which also includes Anmore and Belcarra. Thank you.
Right on. Great Conservative team.
Thank you. We'll go to the next question.
Janice Clue, Tri-City News.
Yes.
Our municipalities are struggling to pay for growth. How will you help them with the infrastructure?
So first point is we're going to have a one-and-done rule. Right now, there's so much bureaucracy in getting approvals for infrastructure projects, so many layers of approvals that have to go through. When we had the Great Global Recession, the American economy collapsed. Our government in Ottawa at the time had a one-and-done rule, a one-page application form, one environmental approval. And the result was we were able to build 23,500 projects from concept to completion in under 2 years without a single environmental problem identified by the Environment Commissioner. That's what we have to get back to, so we can build more quickly. Right now, municipalities are swimming in bureaucracy to get their major projects approved. The second thing is that I will incentivize municipalities to speed up permits, free up land, and cut development charges to build 15% more per year. And if they do, their federal infrastructure allotment will go up. So the more the homes they build, the more federal transfers they will get. This matches growth with money, and it ensures that the fastest growing municipalities will get the most growth in their federal contribution. That's one of the ways we can encourage cities to open up construction and make housing more affordable for our youth. En français aussi. Merci pour la question, très importante. Maintenant, les municipalités sont empêchées avec énormément de bureaucratie. Ça prend des années et des années pour faire approuver des projets qui sont nécessaires, des ponts, des autoroutes, etc. Quand on était au gouvernement pendant les années Harper, on avait une règle, un revue pour chaque projet, une feuille de papier dans les applications. C'est comme ça qu'on a pu compléter 23 500 projets dans moins de 2 ans, sans aucun problème environnemental identifié par la commissaire à l'environnement. On va le faire encore. Mais aussi, on va inciter des municipalités d'accélérer les permis, libérer les terrains et couper les taxes sur le développement afin de pouvoir ajouter davantage de maisons pour nos jeunes. C'est ce qu'il faut pour avoir un bel avenir pour nos municipalités, mais surtout pour nos jeunes familles qui ont besoin des maisons dans lesquelles ils vivent. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. We'll go to the next question.
Thank you.
Mr. Poilievre, Michael Couture with CTV News. The campaign director for Ontario Premier Doug Ford, Corey Tenike, says you sound like Donald Trump. So if Conservatives are saying that you sound too much like Donald Trump, how can you possibly stand up to the U.S. President?
Well, I'm the only one who will stand up to the U.S. President. I see that the President wants the Liberals back in because after a decade, a lost Liberal decade, with costs and crime up, and the economy down under the American thumb, the President would love nothing more to keep the Liberals in power so that he can keep abusing our economy and taking advantage of Canada. The question Canadians will have to answer is whether they think the Liberals are owed a fourth mandate after they drove up costs and crime and weakened our economy, or whether it's time to put Canada first with a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, green-light projects, build homes, bring home the jobs so that we can stand up to the Americans from a position of strength.
Thank you. We'll go to the next question.
David Aiken, Global News. Good afternoon, and
Good afternoon,
thank you
David.
to our Alamo host for being such gracious hosts and helpful
Thank you.
to us as well. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I want to ask about some conservatives who are upset in this election. This is my 7th campaign. I've never had so many calls from grassroots conservatives upset that head office is choosing the candidates. In St. John, the president of the EDA quit. In Penticton, just a couple of days ago, 4 candidates running. Nope, head office says it's going to be this person. They say frustrated beyond belief. In Richmond, you could have had Kenny Chu or Wai Young. Nope, head office appointed somebody else. And then there's Mike DeYoung in Abbotsford. People are scratching their heads. Ian Black sat beside Mike in Gordon Campbell's cabinet, but Mike didn't make the cut. So the question is, why, on behalf of conservative grassroots members, why can't conservative grassroots choose their own candidate? And what was so defective about Mike DeYoung?
Thanks very much, David. And I know that you've always been such a great champion of grassroots conservatives. So thank you for claiming to be their spokesman. Listen, the reality is that conservatives are going to have solid candidates right across the country. We're going to put Canada first. We're going to put Canada first by bringing home our jobs, axing taxes, building homes, and breaking the dependence that the Liberals have forced on Canada relative to the United States of America. We will have strong candidates who are small business people, doctors, local philanthropic champions, and other people who are legends in the communities that they represent. They will be strong. They will be standing up for the workers and the people in this country who've been left behind after the lost Liberal decade. And you know, the question that they will be asking on the doorstep, David, is whether after the lost Liberal decade of rising costs and crime, and with our economy down under the American thumb, do the Liberals deserve a 4th term in power? Or is it time to put Canada first for a change with a new Conservative government that will make our country strong enough to stand on its own 2 feet and stand up to the Americans? Thank you very much.
Thank you. This concludes the event today.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup.